Back in the fall of 2016, I was 23 and driving alone across the country to visit my Aunt Carol for Thanksgiving. She lived way out in the countryside, on a rundown horse property outside a tiny town called Red Willow, a place most people had never heard of. I lived almost a full day's drive away, and even if I split it up, it still took forever. I'd done the drive once before and hated it. Not because it was hard, but because it was empty. Just miles and miles of nothing. Flat land that went on forever. Patches of forest so thick they blocked out the sky, and long stretches where you didn't see another car for an hour. The kind of road where your mind starts playing tricks on you, because there's nothing else to look at. The first day wasn't bad. Busy highways, rest stops, traffic, normal stuff. But on the second night, things changed. Around sunset, I turned off the main highway and onto this smaller road. It was still technically a highway, but barely. One lane in each direction, cracked pavement, no streetlights, no trucks, no billboards, just trees and darkness. I hit that road around 7:30 p.m., already tired and hoping to find a cheap motel. I kept telling myself I'd see a town soon. I didn't. 2 hours passed. The sky went completely black. Fog rolled in low, hugging the road, and my headlights felt useless past a few feet. I hadn't passed a single house. That's when I saw a gas station. It looked ancient. One of those places that seemed forgotten by time. The sign flickered like it was about to die. The building was small, low to the ground, and surrounded by dirt and weeds. There were no other lights anywhere. No town, no homes. Just that station sitting alone like it didn't belong. I pulled in because I didn't have another choice. The pump still worked, so I filled up. And I parked off to the side and went inside. A bell rang when I opened the door, loud in the quiet. Behind the counter was a man named Ron. At least that's what his name tag said. He looked to be in his late 40s, with tired eyes and a stiff smile. He stared at me like he wasn't expecting another human being tonight. I asked if it would be okay if I slept in my car for a few hours. He paused longer than I liked. Then he said, "We're closing in about 15 minutes. I'll be locking up and heading out. If you're comfortable staying here after that, I don't mind." The way he said comfortable made my skin crawl, like he was warning me without actually saying the words. I laughed it off, thanked him, bought a couple of drinks, and went back to my car. Still, his tone stuck with me. I set my alarm for 3 a.m., leaned the seat back, and tried to relax. 15 minutes later, I watched Ron lock the doors, turn off the lights, and drive away. The second his car disappeared, the place went dead silent. No insects, no wind. Just nothing. It felt wrong. I closed my eyes anyway. I don't know how much time passed before I heard it. Tires crunching slowly over gravel. Not fast. Careful. Like whoever it was didn't want to be heard. The sound came closer until I opened my eyes and saw a dark pickup truck parked right beside me. Its headlights were off. Its engine was still running. I couldn't see inside, just black windows. It was facing my car, close enough that if someone leaned forward, they could look right at me. My heart started pounding so hard, I thought it might shake the car. I didn't wait. I sat up, started the engine, and drove away as fast as I could without spinning out. I told myself it was probably nothing, but deep down, I didn't believe that. Less than a minute later, I felt the car jolt hard. I had hit something. I pulled over, shaking, and stepped out. The night air was freezing and dead quiet. When I walked back, my headlights lit up a large, dark shape lying across the road. It looked like an oversized duffel bag. Too big. Too heavy-looking. My brain immediately went to the worst place possible. I didn't even reach it. I heard another vehicle coming. Fast. I turned and saw headlights tearing toward me. The same truck. It flew past the object, slammed on its brakes, and skidded to a stop behind my car. Doors flew open. 2 men jumped out. That's when fear completely took over. I ran, slammed my door shut, and floored it. My hands shook so badly, I could barely keep the wheel straight. I tried calling the police, but there was no signal. None at all. I drove for nearly an hour before I reached a town with lights and people. I pulled into a grocery store parking lot and just sat there, shaking and crying. When I finally reached the police, they said they checked the area and found nothing. No truck, no bag, nothing. I still don't know what I saw that night. I don't know what those men were doing, or why that gas station felt like a trap. All I know is this: I never took that road again. And even now, years later, I still wake up sometimes thinking I hear tires crunching slowly through gravel, stopping right beside me in the dark. Back in 2017, when I was 24, my life was kind of falling apart. Not in a dramatic movie way, just quietly messy. I'd quit my job, ended a long relationship, and decided I needed distance from everything. My older sister, Rachel, lived on the Pacific coast, and she told me I could store my stuff at her place while I figured things out. So I packed up what little I owned and started driving west. I didn't have a cool camper van or anything like that. It was an old white cargo van named Maggie, and calling it a home was generous. In the back, there was a thin mattress shoved against one wall, and piles of cardboard boxes sliding around every time I turned. Clothes, books, random junk I couldn't bring myself to throw away. It smelled faintly like dust and old coffee. The whole thing rattled when I drove, like it might fall apart if I pushed it too hard. This was my first long road trip alone. No hotels, no real plan. Just driving until I couldn't keep my eyes open anymore. The first day went okay. Long, goring highways. Fast food wrappers piling up. By the time midnight rolled around, I had been driving for about 14 hours straight, and my brain felt foggy and slow. That's when I saw a sign for Pine Ridge Rest Area. I remember feeling relieved. I figured it would be busy. A few semi-trucks, maybe other tired travelers sleeping in their cars. Safety in numbers, right? I took the exit and immediately felt my stomach tighten. The rest area wasn't right off the road like I expected. The ramp curved downward and led straight into thick woods. Tall trees pressed in from all sides, blocking any view of the highway. By the time I reached the parking lot, the road noise was gone, completely gone, and the place was empty. No cars, no trucks, no lights except a few flickering ones near the restroom building. It felt wrong in a way that's hard to explain, like I had driven somewhere I wasn't supposed to be. I sat in the van for a moment, hands on the steering wheel, listening. All I could hear were insects buzzing in the trees and the ticking sound of my engine cooling down. I told myself I was being paranoid. Still, my skin felt tight, like it does when you know you're alone but don't want to be. I got out of the van and walked toward the restroom building. The gravel crunched loudly under my shoes, way louder than it should have been. The building itself was clean and bright inside, which somehow made it creepier. No graffiti, no trash, just empty stalls and humming lights. When I walked back to the van, that uneasy feeling came rushing back. The forest felt closer now, darker. I remember stopping and turning in a slow circle, scanning the trees. For a split second, I thought I saw movement between the trunks, but when I focused, there was nothing there. I laughed nervously and climbed back inside. I pulled a thick curtain across the front seats to block the windows, crawled onto the mattress, and lay there staring at the ceiling. My heart took a while to slow down, but exhaustion eventually won. I fell asleep still fully dressed, shoes on, keys tucked under my pillow. I don't know how long I slept before something woke me up. At first, I thought I was dreaming. Soft voices, low and close. Then my eyes snapped open, and I realized they were real. 2 men were talking outside my van. Not laughing. Not loud. Whispering. I sat up slowly, barely breathing, and listened. Their voices were right there, close enough that I could hear the scrape of gravel under their shoes. I checked my phone. 3:07 a.m. My mind raced. The lot had been empty. I hadn't heard a single car pull in. I eased the curtain back just a few inches and peeked out. The parking lot was still empty. No headlights. No vehicles. That's when I turned my head to the side window. A face was inches away from the glass. The man's eyes were wide and locked on mine, like he'd been waiting for me to look. His mouth was stretched into a thin smile that didn't reach his eyes. I froze completely. He ducked away the second we made eye contact, disappearing behind the van. I slammed the curtain shut and scrambled backward, my heart pounding so hard it hurt. Outside, I heard both men whispering urgently to each other. Their voices sounded excited now. Then suddenly, silence. No footsteps. No voices. Just the bugs again? I waited. 1 minute, 2, 5. My whole body was tense, ready to scream. When I finally looked again, they were gone. I didn't waste another second. I grabbed my keys and started the van. As I pulled out and headed up the ramp toward the highway, the van began to struggle. It felt heavy, like something was holding it back. A warning light blinked red on the dash. My tire. The back right tire was completely ruined. I could feel it dragging, hear the rubber tearing apart. That's when I knew. They had done this while I was asleep. Panic set in hard. I was stuck halfway up the ramp, the van unable to climb. Then I heard footsteps behind me. A knock hit my window. It was the same man. He smiled again, wider this time. "Looks like you could use some help," he said, way too calmly. "I can fix that tire for you." I didn't answer. I pulled out my phone and dialed 911 with shaking hands. His smile vanished. He knocked harder, then tried the door handle. When it didn't open, he started pounding on the glass. That's when I threw the van into reverse. The van screeched and scraped as I rolled backward down the ramp. I thought the wheel was going to snap off. The man chased me, yelling now, his footsteps slapping against the pavement. Once I hit the flat lot, I floored it. Somehow, Maggie made it back up the ramp and onto the highway. I drove until the police met me miles away. They never found the men. Sometimes I still think about that night, about how quiet the woods were, about how close I came to opening that door. And I know, deep down, that if I had, I wouldn't be here telling you this story.